I've got 3 videos on this channel, and all of them at least mention Mario Odyssey. So it's about time we actually talk about the damn game. Because actually, this is the first video that's come out since the game has been released, and I've got things to say because I love this fucking video game with my entire heart. Which isn't a surprise. A lot of people do. A lot of people feel this way. Actually, what's surprising is I don't feel as strongly about this game as most people seem to. Like, I really, really love it. I love it. But people would, they would dedicate their lives to this game. They would die if this game presented the opportunity. It said, hey, to get the final moon in Super Mario Odyssey, you have to die in real life. People would do it. I wouldn't. Or maybe I would. I would use it as an excuse. But a lot of people would do it just to get the moon. But that's not the point. What I want to talk about is why I like this game so much. Which I don't think is a new concept. I feel like a lot of people have done this already, but I haven't seen anyone do it because I think most of the reviews came out once the embargo was lifted on the people who got the game early. So a lot of the reviews came out on the release day, and I didn't want to watch any of them because of spoilers. And now I've never gone back to watch them because I just beat the game recently, and I'm still not 100% done with it, but I'm done enough with the point where I feel comfortable talking about it. And I want to start with the character designs, which is interesting to me, because the only other game I've seen put this much applied thinking to actual character designs and how they come across to the player is something like Silent Hill. Which sounds really, really odd, because it's the same idea for a completely opposite application. So for Silent Hill, I'm thinking specifically of 2, because that's the only one I've seen. What that game is trying to come across as is this whole psychological, every detail on an enemy relates to some other, aspect of this character's guilt or their repressed sexual tension and that kind of stuff. That's how it always goes. And there's no doubt a lot of thought there. But this game does it completely differently. Mario Odyssey does it in the exact opposite direction, because the whole point is that you're playing as these enemies. So you look at an enemy, and the first thing you say in your brain is, oh my god, this guy looks great, I wonder what he can do. And they're crafted in such a way where it seems like they're able to do all these crazy, wild, fun, different things, and your brain is going at 1,000,000 miles a second, so when you see him for the first time, you say, Jesus Christ, I want to play as that right now, and then you do, and it's great. And the designs are a really important part of that, I think, that maybe not a lot of people have been noticing. Because their designs are just so enticing. They get across immediately what they're like and how approximately they'll move and what their strengths and weaknesses are. And it puts all these thoughts in your head as the player before you're even playing as them. It's crazy. It's absolutely genius how these enemies, because they're all new. Most of the ones that you can play as are completely new to this game. There's Goombas and Hammer Bros and stuff, but besides that, there's a little bird that uses its beak to poke into a wall, and then you can fling yourself across the wall by bending the beak. And then there's a little goop, like an amoeba inside of a water ball, and then he can use the water to fly up in the air and then go across the air once he's high up, and he goes all the way up. It's crazy. And then there's another dude who's like a little onion, and he's got these extendo legs that are made out of vine. Then he can jump once you once you extend them high enough. It's crazy. It's so cool. The way these characters are designed and the way they move are so perfectly in tandem with each other that the second you see them, you know exactly what they're about, and you know it's going to be a lot of fun to play as them. It's absolutely genius. And I've never seen enemy designs like this ever. Never. Or at least not with this kind of mindset, at least. And I guess going on with that, there are specific enemies in this game called the Brutals, which are rabbit guys. And they're awesome. Every single one, there's 4 of them. Actually, I guess 5. But there's 4 of them that you fight a lot. And they're so neat. Oh my god. My favorite is the tall Brutal. I don't know what his name is. But he's tall, and he's got one of those 1920s hats. Not like a bowler cap, but the one that looks like it may be made out of straw or something. He's got a really nice head of hair underneath it, too. But the thing about these guys is that if someone else had a different favorite, if they liked the Goth Lolly instead, I wouldn't be surprised, because all of their designs are worthy of being a favorite. It's just that the tall one appeals to me the most. Like the little egg-shaped one that wears green, he's amazing. He's awesome. The wide one that looks kind of like Ludwig Koopa, he's great. Goth Lolly is cool just on principle. It's great. All of them are fantastic designs. And not to mention the fucking three-way pun of brutal, which is Broodal. So it's like brutal as in, oh, that's brutal. These guys are tough. And then, like, it's a joke on the word bridal because it's based about around weddings. And then they're brooding because they're bad guys. So they're brooding all the time. Stuff like, it's crazy, man. Just their name is amazing. And then the designs on top is absolutely crazy. But, oh my god, I didn't even remember about this. Their voice acting is fantastic as well, which is really impressive because any live stream you go to that you see somebody playing this game, and whenever they fight the Goth Lolly Brutal, everyone is talking about how great her laugh is, because it is. It's fucking amazing. Her laugh is so, it's almost cathartic. You know, you're listening to this laugh and you're like, damn, dude, this voice actress was really getting something off her chest. Like, it feels good. It makes you wish you could laugh like that just because it's so liberating. And not to mention, even when they're just like speaking dialogue, actually, this is something I could say about every single character in this game because it's really neat. They use like a fake Japanese, which I'm not just saying because I'm a fucking idiot weeaboo. I'm saying this because there is actually fake English and fake French as well in this game. But the Brutals themselves use like a fake Japanese, which is really, really neat because they're using like Japanese syllables. But I'm sure it doesn't mean anything because the English doesn't mean anything, the French doesn't mean anything. But it's great because not only are they saying fake Japanese, but they're also using like thug accents. Like you would see, Japanese thugs using, like, they roll their R's and go rah, like stuff like that. It's so cool. It's so great. And I felt so fun noticing that because I don't know if that's something a lot of people would pick up on. At least not until later. Because then you go to New Donk City, which I'm still not over that name, but it's great. Then you go over to New Donk City and there's these real ass people and they're using fake English. And it's so funny because you can hear the difference immediately. You can hear the difference immediately in just the syllables that they're using as their gibberish. It's completely separate from the Brutals because it's English and the Brutals were using Japanese. And then you go on later to the snails and the little fizzy ocean, which is great. I want to talk about that in a second too. But there's these snails and they use a fake French, which you can tell is fake French just purely based on the syllabic gibberish they're using, which is amazing. I'm so impressed that you can get across the idea of these different languages just by saying absolute nonsense. It's crazy. It's so great. Whoever was like the voice director in that game did a great job of directing these people on what to do. It was amazing. Absolutely fantastic. But I do want to talk more about that fizzy ocean, because what I love about these games' areas specifically is that they seem, or at least the best ones, seem to be themed around the idea of these conflicting ideals. And I think the earliest example of this would be Toast Arena, which is in the Sand Kingdom, because the first time you enter that place, it's built up to be like, oh, it's going to be really hot. Like, I think your companion says that. I think he says, like, oh, it's going to be really, really hot, so prepare for that. And then you land there, and it's frozen over. It's a frozen desert. That's so cool. It's such a neat concept. And then later on, there's, I think actually immediately afterwards, there's, like, this, I don't even know what it is. But the whole idea is that these robots are keeping these flowers alive. Like, the robot's built for the sake of taking flowers, so it's this whole idea. It's pretty much Mother 3, but if Mother 3 was not a tragedy, where it's these robots, and they're like, yeah, we're going to take care of the environment, and it's going to be great. And then, this is also complemented by the fact that the steel they use in their machines is red. And I mean, the robots themselves are yellow, but like the scaffolds and stuff is red, and then they're using like green grass and green foliage and stuff, so it's this not only conflicting ideals in concept but also in color theory, and it looks amazing. It looks as amazing as the concept is, which is really, really impressive. I think that's my favorite area just on idea alone, and it's executed perfectly as well. And then to a lesser extent, I also really like the ocean made out of soda, purely at an aesthetic level, because whenever you jump into the ocean, it makes a little fizz, as if you've opened up a little bottle of soda. And I think it's so cute. It's so cool. And also, I think there's a little bit more particle effects than is usual in the water, because I think it's supposed to like show carbonation and stuff. It's a really, really amazing aesthetic, and it looks pretty too, because it's sparkling a little bit more than the regular water does, because it's sparkling water. And it's so pretty. Oh my god. It's not quite as conflicting ideals as the other two are, but it's the same kind of idea. And I love it. I think it's so cool. Those are my three favorite areas because of those reasons. The other ones are pretty straightforward, where it's like, oh, you go on the moon. It's like, oh, here's a lake, and here's some mermaids in it. Cool. There's nothing else really besides that I can remember. And then, like, oh, here's a prehistoric place. There's dinosaurs and bones. Like, okay, cool. Those three are the main ones that have that conflicting idea motif, and I love it. It's so cool. It's such a neat idea. It also just, the movement is amazing. It's like they looked at every single Mario game they've ever made and said, alright, what are the best parts of this, and what were the worst parts? Let's get rid of the worst parts, keep the best parts, and mush them all together. Mush all the best parts together. So it's like they took the directional movement of Mario 64, which is, I guess, horizontal movement is the best way to put it. And then, like, the vertical movement of Sunshine and, I don't know, maybe not much from Galaxy. Maybe not much from Galaxy. But stuff like that, oh my gosh. It's like they just looked at everything good about Mario and was like, let's take that and get rid of all the shitty parts that come with it. And somehow it worked. Somehow they just were able to do that. And I have no idea how, but it feels amazing. The only time it doesn't feel good is when the levels, for some reason, aren't really laid out well for it. Because Mario is a little bit slippery, and that's okay. But sometimes the levels aren't really built to compensate for that. But that's okay, because that doesn't really come into play until after you beat the game and you start doing more challenging stuff. So that's, intentional, I'm sure. But I don't know, man. The music, holy shit. Oh my fucking god. The music? Are you kidding me? There's so many good pieces in this. I mean, to put it simply, what's the first piece here in the case? I guess it is the bonnet, whatever the first area is with like the little hat ghosts, which is so cool. For some reason, the first area in the game is built off of like the idea of these ghosts that like to wear hats, or they are hats more accurately. And I don't know where that came from. I guess the idea that Cappy has to capture things somehow. But I digress. The whole point is that they're ghosts, and the music fits that, which is really, really a bold choice for a first area, and the music for that place is really cool. I had to just sit there and listen to it for like half a minute, or however long it takes to repeat itself, because I was just amazed. I was amazed that this is the first piece I'm hearing in the new Mario game. It doesn't sound like it at all. And then the next place you go to is Cascade Kingdom, which made me cry for like 40 minutes, for like 40 fucking minutes while playing this damn game. Because most of the time it's diatonic, but there is this one color chord after, right before the repeat mark. And it stings, man. It pulls you so hard. It's so good. And the melodic line is really, really emphasizing it. Oh my god, it's beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous. That piece, that color chord makes that piece itself. It's completely, oh my god, it's perfect. It's perfect. Absolutely fantastic. And all the other pieces in the game are awesome too. I really like the one where the robots are taking care of the flowers, because it's interesting to me because it's not a genre of music I would tackle myself, but it's done in a way where if I were to tackle that piece, that's what it would sound like, which is interesting to me. I've never really thought about that before. But I was listening to this piece and I'm like, wow, there's like an electric organ and electric guitar and electric bass and stuff. I wouldn't ever use these things, but it sounds like what would happen if I did. And I was really, really impressed by that. It's so cool. I don't know, man. This game has just been really opening my eyes to a lot of stuff. I've never really thought about enemy design in this way before, and the whole idea of like, because what they do is just get you excited to interact with them, and I've never had enemies spark that emotion in me before. I think that's fantastic. Such an amazing way, such a beautiful, such a marvelous, such a good way to do things. It gets you excited to interact with enemies, which is so cool. Oh my god, it's fantastic. And then, I don't know, I feel like it's kind of funny because I feel like they made New Donk City and then we're like, all right, let's just make a game because we made this, you know? I feel like the rest of the game is just, it's there for the sake of carrying New Donk City, and I guess the Mushroom Kingdom afterwards as well. Or more accurately, I guess they made, here's what I think happened. I think they were like, all right, we need to figure out how Mario moves. So they made the Mushroom Kingdom for him as a little like testing ground. And we're like, all right, now let's make the best part of the game. And they made New Donk City, and we're like, all right, let's make a game around this because it can't just be these two areas. I think that's what they did. I really think so. Just because New Donk City has so much attention to it. It's not the biggest area in the game, but it definitely had the most love attached to it. They definitely worked the hardest. You can absolutely tell. The only thing I didn't like about this game was way at the end, like the final segment. You're playing as Bowser because you've captured him, which is amazing. That feels great. It feels great to play as Bowser, which is awesome. But there's this really shitty like early 2000s era rock music playing, and for some reason they brought on the same vocalist that did Jump Up Superstar, even though her voice isn't really suited for that to begin with. She tries to make it work, and she does the best for who she is, but they really should have just brought somebody else on, or even better, just wrote a good piece of music. I would have liked that. It's the only piece in the game I wouldn't say I like, which is a shame because it's like, it's supposed to be like the big, amazing climax and whatever, but you know, whatever. The other thing this game does is it uses the fucking principal stops on the pipe organ and nothing else. I think sometimes it also goes full stops. But it makes me so angry, but that's a whole separate video. My grievances with video games using pipe organs. They do a lot wrong, and Mario Odyssey, unfortunately, falls into the same situation. But that's okay, because everyone else does. It's just, you know, another example, which is a shame, but what can you do? Anyway, I think that's most of it, condensed as much as possible. I could go into like really, really specific details about like particular areas within the kingdoms, but then this would turn like hours long, and I don't think anyone cares enough about that, including myself. So, I, if you wanted to know why I like Mario Odyssey so much, here's your answers. It's gorgeous. Every single thing was done right about it. There is no problems except for a weird music choice at the end. That's the only hang-up I have, literally. That's it. I guess maybe the camera gets a little wonky too, but really not too bad. I never really noticed it. I was just like, oh, that could have been better. That's the thing, it could have been better, but it's by far not bad. That's the issue. If you can even call it that. Anyway, that's it. I'm gonna go fucking kill myself for the sake of getting the last moon in Super Mario Odyssey. It's been a good run, but I got 100%. You know how it is. I live that hashtag gamer life, my friends. It's a sacrifice I have to make. I just love Mario so much.